Folks, my voice is still gone, but I am back. And I'm back with a special Wade Concept episode, an interview. We haven't done one of these in a while on the main channel, but we have some breaking news and some time to catch up with one of my favorites in the game. His name is Liam Chivers. He is OP Media, OP Talent. He is the greatest in all of the YouTube land managers. He is the man of the hour. Liam, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Wow, what an intro. Thanks for waking up this morning. You're still poorly, it sounds.
I'm getting there, man. Look, I got my tea, which I'm not gonna say what is in here, but 6 a.m. tea nonetheless. And
man,
I'm
you don't
pushing
take
through
a day off. You don't take a day off.
Try
even
not to,
you're
man.
you're a true pro.
Speaking of not taking a day off, though, you are, like I said, a manager extraordinaire. You have guys like a Daddy Gibb under your wing. You have guys like Jay Swingler, Deji. It feels like you're always working. Every time I'm at an event, I see you there. We chop it up. We talk, man. Have you gotten some time around the holidays to relax a little bit?
Well, moving into this boxing scene as like my main focus, the idea was to buy a little bit more time. I set the first sort of social media talent manager company up like 12 years ago, and I've got a team of people looking at all our other talent, the big gamers and entertainers on YouTube, Ali A, Jelly, these guys.
Yeah.
So I can solely focus on the boxing. And the reason is because you want to focus on those guys personally and put your whole one-on-one into that. So with the boxing, Gibb, Jay, Deji in particular, all that stuff. It's like, okay, the hard work is never done, right? But you're right. I'm trying not to work quite as hard, but this is growing, right? And at a rapid pace, and these guys need to be developed and looked after. And there's not a day that goes by where boxing is not the 12 hours of your day. That's right.
No, listen, well, it's 12 hours for you. It's 12 hours for one of your biggest clients right now. And this is why, I wanted to reach out to you today. We chatted a little bit about what's going on with the man, the myth, the legend, the beast in the Middle East, a Daddy Gibb. This guy is, we're hearing rumors that Gibb is coming back soon. Possibly we're talks with Mams and maybe some stuff with Slim and some money left on the table there for some other stuff. Tell me exactly what's happening right now with Gibb.
I think the last 2 months I must have been asked this question. Not so much you're really respectful, and we do it in a face-to-face when we see each other at events. And even this week, all these rumors about him fighting on the Jake Paul Tommy Fury undercard, which at this moment hasn't yet been announced.
It's not even,
I'm sure maybe when this goes out,
yet, but
it may be announced.
Right.
And it's just like, wow. And then people are like, well, how can you possibly put Gibb on a Jake Paul promotion? That's really bad. Isn't he JJ's guy? Well, for a start on that, it's not a Jake Paul promotion. It's a Saudi Arabian promotion with they have investors in the team, and Jake's just a fighter and Tommy's just a fighter. Yeah, you'll see MVP written on there. I'm sure they'll make it a co-promo event, but it's not like a Misfits event. But no, ever since Gibb fought McBroom, that was a hell of a year last year. He was in camp the full year, no breaks, because it kept going back. You had the medical problems, you had the McBroom problems, all these different things. And until that was passed, we couldn't really look at what's next in the UK. Is it Misfits? Is it these other promotions? Is it a crossover event? Now, straight after Floyd Deji, obviously hanging around and talking to Floyd's manager and the connections there, Tommy Fury's team, I get on great with those guys, and we're always in touch about what's going on in the industry. So they're asking me and them, and I think they obviously want to be in touch with me because I know a little bit about Jake Paul as well from our time. So you never know. I heard from Floyd's manager, we talked that Floyd was this is way back when we were talking Fight Week with Deji. He's never fought in the UK before, for example. He wanted a fight over here. And one of the matchmakers got in discussion with this. I said, well, when do you want to do this Tommy fight? He said, well, we're looking to do it at the end of February next year, maybe March, maybe some around that sort of time. And if it happens, it should be in Saudi, Tommy Jake. And we'd love to talk to you about Gibb. So we started talking about Gibb on that card, and that's where these rumors have probably come from. He'll be on like an initial deck somewhere, or an artwork design. This is where remember when Deji and Floyd got leaked? It was because somebody saw the original artwork by some designer in a back room, and that got posted. It's like, well, that's not the poster. That was the first mock-up pitch deck, like someone's seen. And so these are where these little leaks come through, and these guys are good at these leaks. But in this instance, I'm gonna dispel the rumor. Gibb is not fighting on that card.
Okay.
He's not fighting on that card. People are saying, oh, is he fighting Adam Sala? The weight difference is too much. How can he be fighting on this card? He ain't on that card.
Okay.
And the main reason he's not on that card is because we thought he was going to fight Floyd Mayweather in the UK.
I had heard something about
the same
this,
time.
man. Yeah. I'd heard something about this.
Because the way it came about, he was like, well, do you know any investors and people in the UK? And this is Floyd's manager, like a couple of weeks after the Deji fight. And I'm like, well, yeah, we can help arrange that for you. And he, who would you suggest? And, Floyd just wants to fight. He doesn't really mind, he just, as long as it's a competitive battle and this, that, and the other. And of course, I mentioned Gibb,
Yeah.
before. UK, if it's not KSI, it's not Deji, it's Gibb, right?
Yeah.
There's no other option. And so we started pitching Gibb, and they like what they saw. Sent Floyd the little clip of how he teased Floyd in his Austin McBroom call out promotional video. You remember he says that little man has no idea about boxing. He'd have known I'd have got my redemption in Miami. And we sent that clip. They actually liked that shit.
Oh,
they
it was so funny.
But it's something that could play off. And obviously then you send all the social media stats around that, the McBroom build up, that video with Floyd in it, because he's obviously loves that attention. And they said, yeah, let's go for Gibb.
Wow.
So we were there with Gibb, and then it was just a case of, and we agreed our deal with Gibb ages ago, and then it was just a case of, can the investors do a deal with Floyd? And so they went a little cold, and this is just as of a couple of weeks ago. Now, bear in mind, Gibb had taken time over Christmas. He's just waiting to see if this happened. Do I need to get back in camp? Because his head coach works for the UFC in Oman, Abdul, and he has to give quite a bit of time notice to then take a whole camp time off for Gibb, right? So it's not a case of, can you fly him in today? We're fighting in 3 weeks' time. Ain't gonna happen. So as it turned out, about 2 weeks ago, it was almost like a cutoff from us as well. It's not happening.
Jeez.
Then obviously, then this week, Floyd's like, you know what? TMT are just going to fund it ourselves. We're going to do it, and that's great. But now you're giving us, we worked it out, Gibb would have not even 2 weeks training.
Yeah. This is honestly, it's to an extreme level, but that's the way Floyd has done business for a long time. He will catch guys about a month out and be like, all right, sign it, let's go. And he's ready.
No, it's not Floyd's.
It's not him trying to do that for this.
As far as he's concerned, Gibb will have been in training anyway.
Yeah, it's not what he's trying to do. It's just, how it happened.
And then all during all this Floyd talk and the Saudi talk, came up the Misfits stuff, right? Why is he not fighting Slim on Misfits? He's asking for too much money. He's scared of it. I'm like, in the back of my mind, like, he's not asking for too much money because he's getting two much bigger offers literally on my desk right now. And so Gibbs obviously not going to say, yeah, I'm asking for too much money. Right. And how does Slim compare to those two options right now? Slim will happen, but the way that the schedule was working and the way the cards work and the way that Gibbs' team are going to work, it'll happen, but it couldn't happen in the January card they wanted. Yep. That's even like a month sooner than we're talking the other two events. So it wasn't physically possible. Appreciate the offer from Mams, and we talk nearly every day on things. And we will make that happen at some stage, whatever. But right this moment, it wasn't. It was just the timing plus,
of course,
the other better options for that week. So 100%. I think it's. I hope everyone appreciates it. Gibb doesn't ask. He was all about the storyline. He's already away filming. He's all about narrative and build up. And even Gibb, he would turn down a fight for good money against the greatest boxer of all time if he didn't think he could have the narrative, the build up, and perform well enough.
Building the right fight monetarily and for what's best for Gibb going forward. That's something that I think people are missing in this whole thing, is that the fight game is an individual game. There are no teams here, right? So every fighter does have to look out for themselves, and they are their own free agents. And especially a guy like Gibb, who has seen the highest highs and the lowest lows in his game, you have to be able to take care of yourself and put yourself in a position to have some longevity in this scene.
So it's not just fight every month. And,
no.
It's
is that where like your camp looks at a guy like Slim and not that you're out and looking at other fighters and saying, oh, they're doing it right, doing it wrong, but is that where you guys look across the aisle at, like you said, a fight that is going to happen in the future and say, this is the difference? That guy is having to fight every 3 to 4 months, where our guy is able to get some rest in, some R&R, and when he comes back, he's fully healthy, trained, good camp, ready to go once again.
It's all about, it is a bit that timing. And a lot of people saying, yes, Slim's maybe fighting you're alluding to him fighting often, right?
He's
And
fighting
can
a
he
lot.
recover?
Fighting a
But
lot.
equally, he's experienced, and he's caught up in front of the bright lights, the
Yep.
experience of it. He's getting invaluable experience, right?
Absolutely.
It just so happens he's having a few brawls and wars at the moment.
Jeez.
No dig at Slim fighting too often.
No.
I think that will all be invaluable for when he does fight Gibb. If Gibb wasn't to fight between now and whenever they fight again, Slim's got the advantage.
Yeah.
Gibb needs some activity soon. Yeah.
Now, did you see? I don't know. I know you were watching on Saturday, Misfits #4. Did you see me get raked across the coals for putting your boy Gibb in my top 5? Man, everybody was giving me crap on this. Now, granted, these are also guys that want to be in the top 5. So.
Well, they were saying he shouldn't be in the top 5.
Yeah, it was Kenny and Dean just giving me work, man.
There's no Gibbs #3.
Give me your top 5.
Well, ahead of the weekend, if you actually look at it objectively,
yep,
in terms of what they've done to that point in the ring,
yeah,
regardless of whether you think they would do better in their next fight or not, I always thought there's an argument that, until JJ fought the weekend, maybe he was 3, maybe Gibb was 2, but I knew as soon as he fought, whether it be Dennis or Tempe, I knew he was going to jump straight back up. And now, in my mind, there's actually an argument. People have still just got Jake Paul as this end boss.
Right.
I don't know why he's above JJ on that list.
I think it's the level of opponent is what I would say.
Ben Askren?
No. The recent level of opponent, I would say.
Okay, Anderson Silva. Great, not a boxer. Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
I agree. It's still Jake. It's still KSI.
I agree that JJ did bump up, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he needed a fight other than the last 2 just to show he's got
show
these
the
things in
levels,
his locker and the levels. We all know the levels there, but it's you can't just be in a top 10 list based on what they might be able to do, which I feel like someone like Logan Paul's hanging around that top 10 list when he's not even fighting. And actually, really, has he shown anything other than against guys a lot smaller than him? My top 5 would be Gibb would be 3.
Okay.
I think Pappy's jumped to 4. I think Slim's 5. Now I know everyone's going, oh yeah, but Slim's 6-0 and this, that, and the other. Yeah, but you do have to look about the ability, and I do think there were weaknesses in Slim's, particularly the cardio, perhaps.
Yeah.
He, against these guys, yes, they're granite chins, and he's not. If he was fighting guys his weight, maybe he cleans them up, and maybe he looks even better, right? But he should be dancing around these guys at range with that reach, and that's the skill he has over these guys. Yeah. He shouldn't make it a war.
That's the thing,
and in my mind,
it's here for him.
Because he does that. It's almost a case of he is beatable. Like if he doesn't get Gibb out within 1.5 rounds, that's going one way in my mind. It's only going one way.
Right.
So that's why I think he, yes, he's fighting these absolute bulldogs.
Yeah, I was going to
say tough guys, but are they really, really good fighters? I don't think they're technically necessarily as good as a McBroom or a Taylor Holder or people like that yet. Time will tell. If McBroom and Holder come back and whoop everyone will really know.
Right, exactly.
And it's hard. Look, that's the top 5. You can put it in any order. I think you've got to put Pappy in that 5. Maybe Slim, then Pappy, perhaps just because.
What did you think
of the overall?
Well, I'll ask you this. What did you think of Pappy's performance, and did Gibb say anything about anybody's performances on Saturday?
I think Gibb tweeted about it.
Yeah.
That's cold. Like Pappy, I spent a bit of time with Pappy around at the Sheffield, the last Swingler event, and he's just obviously so quietly confident. You don't really know. Everyone's been going on this week about he's had all these fights in Philippines.
I talked to him yesterday about that.
And he says, but he likes you to think it, because I remember speaking to him over dinner before the fight night that night, and he was like, people don't really know my background. I'm like, do you mean there's more to it, or do you mean they think there's more to it?
Exactly.
And he didn't answer. So it was almost like he wants you to think maybe he is better than he is, but I think the point is he showed he is as good as you think he is.
Yeah, man, he's a naturally skilled guy, but he confirmed what Sensei and I, no amateur background, just a lot of fights growing up, a lot of watching on YouTube, a lot of idolizing Manny Pacquiao. He's a talented guy, but
this is definitely top 5 in that ability crossover side of things.
Yeah.
But I think you can't overlook what someone like Deji has done. I know he marks down because he has only one true win.
Yep.
But everyone adds in star power, right?
You have to.
And the one thing I think everyone misses out in, form needs to be taken into account when you're thinking of Gibb. You can't look at that Jake Paul fight and have that as a loss. And besides, if you've got Jake Paul at number 1, losing to Jake Paul
not a bad loss, right?
Doesn't knock you down the list, right? Because unless you beat Jake Paul, you can't go above him. And I tell you what, in another month's time, when and then perhaps another couple of fights after that, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing Swingler in that mix.
Let's talk about Jay, man. We got a main event coming up. Him and Nick LMAO. February 25th, he's back. I got to see Jay on stage. You can see the excitement in this guy, man. He's just chomping at the bit to get back. What's he been doing? Obviously, he's getting ready in camp and stuff. And how ready is he to go right now, man?
Yeah, he loves. This was made for him. This whole thing was made for him, and he's ready to now step into it. Now it's really made for him.
Heck yeah.
But no, he is a real perfectionist too. He's a workaholic, whether it's in his videos, whether it's in his life. But boxing is taking the bug. It's a bug for him too, as it has been others before him. And he's just a little behind on the trajectory, but he's going at it as hard as anybody else does.
I spoke to him obviously when we were in Sheffield. Really like the guy. He's a genuine dude. Sent me some of the Planet Childish stuff. I got it somewhere around. He's a great guy, man. But I wanted to ask you this. Let's say, and again, we're not looking past Nick LMAO. I haven't seen a lot of footage on the kid, so I'm gonna have to do my deep dive into that too and see exactly what we're dealing with here. But let's say he goes out, gets this one done. I've always wanted to ask you this question because I don't know if anybody has. You have guys on your talent roster, Jay, Daddy Gibb. All three talk about fighting each other. How does that ever work out? Is that ever something? I'm assuming you're gonna have to come to that point at some time down the road.
No. He I think both Gibb and Jay want that rematch, but obviously there's trajectories. Jay's had half a round in 4 years.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, Jay talked to me about Deji too when we sat down. He was like, "Oh man, I really want that Deji fight too." So I'm sitting there going,
Deji's a little different. Like, yes, he is in that same mix with those guys, the Slims, the Pappies, the Kennys, of course. But the difference now is with Deji, he is on a slightly different level of stardom. Yeah. Taking out the Pauls and JJ. Deji's in that mix of upper echelon superstar. I'm not saying Gibb, Jay are not, but they are definitely, and they would admit they're the next tier.
Right. Well, you get the Floyd Mayweather fight. It's
This is what I mean. It doesn't mean people don't want to watch them as much as Deji. It just means that Deji is moving in slightly different circles.
Right.
And you mentioned it. How where do you go after fighting Floyd Mayweather? Deji does get lots of opportunities, but equally, it's a tricky one. It's like, well, he should be maybe fighting more celebrity types or MMA types, but they aren't there on a roster ready to go like these Misfits guys or other active influencers. So if he wants to fight often, he has to come back in that mix.
Yep.
But he doesn't necessarily need to fight as often as a Slim or a Gibb. So he will get back in the ring pretty soon. The opponent is the tricky one, right? Yeah. There are, Swarm's called him out this week, right?
I saw that, man.
and he flatly put that down. But when you look at, I'm not going to make that fight, but I'm going to say it potentially, why not in some respects? Because Swarm's, everybody, is starting to like him and he promotes these things. There's great trash talk. He adds that celebrity, the angle of, the promotional fun WWE style part of what the element of this, which needs to be 20% of the overall thing, right? Yeah. And he brings that, so that could be a brilliant matchup for that reason. And it's pretty tricky, because everyone wants him. He doesn't need them, but he wants to fight. It's I
have a question for you. Do you ever get the idea to maybe take Deji in the route of, we hear redemption a lot out of Deji. Redemption. I'm here for my redemption. Do you ever think of trying to find a way to get a hold of Vinny Hacker and get him that redemption fight and say,
I tried yesterday.
No way.
Can't get hold of him. Can't get hold of him.
I always wondered, I'm like, does Deji want to get a piece of that again?
I think Mams has tried to hit him up as well. I think a few guys have tried to hit him up.
Hey, listen, Vinny got his win and he's
I'm
out,
sure he'll
bro.
say. I'm sure he'll say. But I agree. Deji should have fights building up to that rematch. Yeah. Beating Vinny, he should then go and do Wasabi, get that one done. Yeah. And come back round, right? He needs to go full circle. Everyone thinks the perfect fight is Bryce Hall. Bryce has been messing everybody around for 2 years, asking for too much money, knowing no one's going to pay it.
Yeah, pricing himself out, but pretending it's there for, I did want to fight. You just wouldn't do a deal with me. Yeah. No, you didn't want to fight. So it's hopefully, and I saw an interview. You came on late to a Twitter space, Happy Punch Twitter space after the last event a few nights ago. Yep. We were talking, and I think I heard Chase Moore came on, and he was talking about how he was hanging around with Bryce, and Bryce is definitely going to come in. He's definitely fighting.
but is he?
We'll see.
The
right?
more I hear, the more positive I am. I would love Bryce to be fighting Deji in the summer. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
100%. But it's on Bryce, really.
Right. No, you can't price yourself out of these things, man, because if you do, and you're not a guy like Gibb who has other options, right, that can go and do other things, so that amount of money is like, we got other stuff over here. Bryce is just doing it, it seems like, because he just doesn't want to fight. But
I mean, everyone, Bryce is a big name in some respects. You
I
look
think
at
it's
his
off
numbers.
The social gloves thing too, right?
But his socials aren't great. You know, he's not a YouTuber.
No,
TikTok
not
doesn't
at all.
convert. Instagram is fairly weak when you look at his concurrent views when he was promoting the social gloves with Mabruma. I kept a close eye on all this because obviously I had Gibb and Deji on that card. I was seeing who's actually pulling the weight, and it wasn't him. But he does create these sort of viral moments the industry can report on. Whoever, Keemstar, he's always in the news, right? And I think that's the thing. He will give those great promotional moments for everyone else to amplify it. So therefore, he is a legitimate opponent.
Interesting stuff, man. Listen, Liam, I have taken a lot of your time today. I have gotten a lot of information from you. Just to put it on the record, Gibb is not fighting on this Jake and Tommy card. I know a lot of people are frustrated, but at the same time, we're going to be seeing him soon, I have a feeling. And listen, you're doing your best for your guys. Jay's coming up on February 25th in Milton Keynes. Deji, possibly, maybe, something in the near future. We won't get into it, but those are the big three. Obviously, OP, Talent Media, killing it all across the land. I saw Alier won some awards, man. Fair play. You're grinding. You're working hard, man. Liam Chivers, I appreciate you being here with me today, brother.